order. So let's recite the verse 3-5. Yes. एकोऽप्यसौ रचयितुं जगदण्डकोटिं यच्शक्तिरस्ति जगदण्डचयाय दन्तः अण्डान्तरस्थपरमाणुचयान्तरस्थं गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि. Can someone please read the translation? Mataji's, Prabhu's, anyone? Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. He is an undifferentiated entity, as there is no distinction between potency and the possessor thereof. In his work of creation of millions of worlds, his potency remains inseparable. All the universes exist in him, and he is present in his fullness in every one of the atoms that are scattered throughout the universe at one and the same time. Such is the primeval Lord whom I adore. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. So yes, Prabhu, you can stop sharing screen. Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji. So let's recite the prayers and get started. Om Jnanatimidandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamini Namini Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pasyati Deshatarini Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So yes, thank you, Prabhu Mataji, for joining and giving me this opportunity. So here, Brahma-saṁhitā, if we just see the brief this thing about the importance of this literature. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has mentioned that this is, as we all know, that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has mentioned that this one literature alone is sufficient to establish the principles of this, our Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, that philosophy, this one literature is sufficient. So he mentions that in his South Indian visit, he visited Adikeshava temple. Near Adikeshava temple, he found this book, and it was not complete. It was just a small portion of it, 5th chapter. So that that part he found, and he went through, and he declared that this book alone is sufficient to establish the Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy. So that is very important. This scripture is very important for us. So in some places we find the reference that after the Brahma Vimohan Leela, those prayers recited by Brahma glorifying Lord Vishnu or Krishna, that comprises this book Brahma-saṁhitā. Other sources we find that it is the prayers, initial prayers by Lord Brahma, after Lord Brahma was given all the powers for creation and the intelligence. The first created being Brahma was given all the intelligence and the power and everything, and then he glorified the Lord. First he tried to find his source. He went down through the lotus stem and everything. He couldn't find. Then he heard the word tapa, and he meditated, and he got the glance of the Lord. He got the information that you have to do tapasya, you have to meditate. So he started meditating, and then he got all the power, he got all the intelligence. So after that, he prays, he glorifies the Lord. So some sources say it's the glorification of the Lord by Brahma in the initial creation stage. In other source, we find that it is after the Brahma Vimohan Leela, but nonetheless, it is the glorification of Lord Krishna by Brahma. There's no difference of opinion in that part. That is the glorification. Then we say in Andal's time, this book was kept safely in a library there in the temple, and then it was lost. And our Śrīla Prabhupād's spiritual master Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur Maharaj, when he was a royal guest at Trivandrum Palace, he visited there, and he gathered this book, and he found this very important. During that time, there are a lot of different philosophies and different branches of the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya being split and everything. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj came and got this book, and he translated it. And then through Śrīla Prabhupada, we have this so many literatures. We have different literatures, but this one particular literature is very important, that that deepens our understanding or deepens our faith that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that Brahma himself says that Krishna is a source. So we consider Brahma as our creator, but Brahma himself says that I am being created, or I come from Lord Krishna. He is my source, and he is the ultimate. There is nothing beyond him. He is the ultimate, and everything comes from him. That we see here. And in this particular verse, we see that there is no distinction between potency and the possessor. So the energy, so the energetic person and the energy. So you see, the energy comes from the energetic person, but we cannot differentiate them. That from the energetic person, the energy is derived, but there's no difference. Similarly, everything comes from the Lord. So in his work of creation of billions of worlds, his potency remains inseparable. We cannot differentiate him from his energy or his creation or his existence. We cannot differentiate him because everything comes from him. So all the universes exist in him, and he is present in his fullness in every one of the atoms. So that here comes here it's mentioned in the introduction section of Srimad Bhagavatam. We see that in the first sloka itself, the first sloka of Srimad Bhagavatam, Vyasadeva is referring to the Lord as the absolute truth. So the absolute truth. So in the introduction, it's mentioned that absolute truth, we say God or absolute truth, two different things. God is anybody with some power, anybody who has some power or control can be said as a God. But the absolute truth is the one without a second, that he is the ultimate. So Krishna, Lord Krishna is the ultimate. So in the purport it is explained, Krishna is the highest of all entities. So trying to understand him. So as we mostly we try to understand, and we can take two examples. One is of the train. We see train from far. We see it's just a light, and then train arrives. We see, okay, it's just some compartments arranged in an order. And third is we enter inside the train and understand, okay, there are birds. We can sit and we can sleep. Different things are there within the train. There are fan, light, everything. So we understand that. That's a final understanding. So first is the light, then the train compartments, then inside the train experience. Like that, the sun. So we see the sunlight from far. We see, okay, just the light. Then we see, understand, okay, sun is a planet. Then we see what is this thing inside, and how is if we get a chance to enter inside the planet, we see how is the sun. Then we understand, okay, what all what body is required to enter there. Understand. So like that, two different examples we can see for understanding the features of the Lord. So understanding the features of the Lord, if we see, the first one is said that the Brahma Jyoti, or the effulgence, just we consider, okay, God is just Lord Krishna, or Bhagavan is just a light. So if we consider that, that is the first understanding of the Sat feature, the eternity or Sat feature. Then we see the Paramatma feature. If we see, that is understanding Sat and Chit, the knowledge and the eternal feature, understanding that. And the ultimate, the Bhagavan aspect, if we are understanding, that is the personal form, that Lord has a personal form. So that form we can understand. That is the highest realization, that he has a form. We are created, okay, we are in different forms, we have some form. So if we have form, we are created from a father, mother, so they also have a form from whom we are created. Similarly, the ultimate, the Supreme Personality of God, the absolute, without a second, he also has a form. The existence of this form we can understand from this verse itself. The explanation Srila Prabhupada mentions that with this we can knock down the Mayavada philosophy and all other allied doctrines, stating there is no form of the Lord. So here, though he is present within everything, it's mentioned from him comes everything and he enters into everything. But we should not differentiate, okay, Lord has got split into different forms. He has entered into every atom, or he has entered into every living entity. So there is no personal form. He is all pervasive. He is present everywhere. He's present in everything. He's present everywhere. So there is no particular form. We should not misidentify that way, that Lord has lost his individuality. That if you have to see, we can clearly understand from the Ishopanishad, the first verse, which says Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. So if you see the translation, that's it. Yeah, in the translation it's mentioned the personality of Godhead is perfect and complete, and because he is completely perfect, all emanations from him, such as his phenomenal world, such as this phenomenal world, are perfectly equipped as complete wholes. Whatever is produced as a complete whole is also complete in itself. Because he is a complete whole, even though so many complete units emanate from him, he remains the complete balance. So we understand, we see a large ocean. So if we take tiny droplets, or if we take a bucket of water, also the ocean water remains the same. Likewise, the Lord remains, the personal feature is always there. The personal existence is always there. Though we may see the different expansions or different incarnations or different manifestations, but it all comes from the energy of the Lord. It all comes from the Lord, but he doesn't loses his completeness. So we see in the Ishopanishad, the first verse, that the absolute truth is a complete personality of Godhead. So we see in that entire sloka, we see a lot of complete words. We see multiple times complete, complete, complete. We see there multiple times. And Vigraha, the form of the Lord. He has a form. If he doesn't have a form, then whatever is coming from him, whatever is being created from him, if you are understanding this creation, we don't know the entire creation, but little bit we know. So that is because of our incomplete knowledge that we consider, okay, this is the ultimate, this whatever we are seeing, this world or this creation is the ultimate. There is something beyond this also. In the scripture it is mentioned that this is just the 1/4 of the creation. The 3/4 of it is in the spiritual world. This is just the 1/4 of the creation. So everything comes from him, but he doesn't loses his individuality. Everything comes from him, and we should never differentiate him from everything. He is present within everything. He is present as Paramatma within everything and everyone, but still he is the supreme personality of Godhead. He doesn't lose his individuality. He is the ultimate controller. He is the ultimate proprietor, controller. He is the ultimate God. If you see, as I said in Srimad Bhagavatam, first verse, we see Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Janmadi Asya Yatho Anvayad Itaratas Chartesh Abhignaha Swarat Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavaye Muhyanti Yat Sureha Tejo Vari Mridam Yatha Vinimayo Yatra Trisargo Amrasha Damna Svena Sada Nirasta Kuhakam Satyam Param Dhimahi. So it's mentioned Param Dhimahi. And he is the absolute truth. Satyam Param Dhimahi, the absolute. So in that purport also we see, and in the introduction of Srimad Bhagavatam also we see that difference between God and the absolute truth. So God can be many, as we see in the example is given. Srila Prabhupada mentions that in a democratic government, if you see, there are different, everything runs based on some rules and regulations. It all runs, but ultimately the person, the chief person will be chief head is a person. So there we can understand the personal feature. And through the rules and regulations and different departments are there, it all runs by the different policies and different rules and regulations, everything. So there we can understand the impersonal form, but beyond the impersonal also there is a person, deciding authority. There is a person. Likewise, Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is the ultimate person, beyond whom there is nothing. Everything comes from the Lord. He is the absolute without a second. He's a samam bonum. He's the absolute without a second. So that if you have to understand, we can go through Ishopanishad's first verse, or Srimad Bhagavatam, the first verse, the translation purport, we see it goes many pages. It's vast. It's first sloka. Vyasadeva glorifies the Lord. In that it is mentioned that Param Satyam, the Satyam Param Dhimahi. So it's the purport. Srila Prabhupada explains it in detail about that aspect itself. That Satyam Param Dhimahi, the ultimate form, the ultimate absolute nature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then through that we can understand. And here Brahma is glorifying that form of the Lord, that everything comes from him. He is an undifferentiated entity, as there is no distinction between the potency and the possessor thereof. So there's no difference. He is from whom I have also been the source of me. I have also come out from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Everything comes from him. The first verse itself we see Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. So we should not differentiate that, okay, Lord, so many forms, so many universes, so many planets, so many living entities, everything is expanded from him. So there is no power, or there is no form, because he has lost the form that he got expanded into so many things. No, though everything comes out from him, everything expands from him, emanates from him, but he is the absolute. He remains the absolute. Though he is all pervasive, but he doesn't lose his individuality. That Brahma, Lord Brahma confirms here through his prayers. So, as Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj during his time, when different philosophies, different branches were being evolved, and different philosophies were coming up, and for the proof of the Achintya Bheda Abheda Tattva, the simultaneously the oneness and difference, that we are in quality one with the Lord, but in quantity we are different. So we are Dvaita, Advaita, different philosophies. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives the Achintya Bheda Abheda Tattva. So according to that philosophy, that simultaneous oneness and difference from the Lord. So that is confirmed here by Brahma, and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj has explained as clearly, and Srila Prabhupada explains it in detail for our clear understanding. So we should utilize this opportunity. We should use this literature to deepen our faith and to get the philosophy right. So thank you, Prabhu Mataji, for joining and giving me this opportunity. So let's get into Damodar Ashtakam now. Shri Prabhu, anything to add on? Or any Mataji's Prabhu, Sumantra Maji, anything to add on this particular verse?
No problem, Ji. Hare Krishna.
Okay, let's start. So